Okay, so what up, Viper here, and the Illuvium private beta testnet is moving so fast, so many updates, so many changes to what we want to prioritize in the game, how we want to approach certain things, and well, this kind of comes down to, well, airdrop farming, point farming, right? So I'm gonna dive into what happened recently and how that changed a lot of the things that we have been doing. Alright, so first is the quick jump into the Discord announcement channels and so on. If you guys are not in the Discord or not following that, just follow that channel. It's pretty good, and just being in the Discord, it gives you up to date on the information. But what happened, what changed, just to give a brief overview, right? So Arena and Overworld updates. Now there are Holo and Dark Holo Illuvials live in the Overworld, and there are Ethereal Illuvials. Ethereal Illuvials are the ones that just essentially give, I don't know, flavor and difficulty to the combats, right? So you just see the 3 Illuviums that you can go and capture, and they are supported by these ghost-like ones. I kind of like that idea fundamentally. I'm not 100% sure, like the current implementation where it's sometimes hard to tell what Illuviums I'm fighting on the ethereal ones, right? So I think the visual side can be a bit better, but overall on the gameplay side, I think it is better than the other version, because then it was like, I don't know, a few Illuviums that were cool and like a bunch of like shitters that you would just don't care about anyways. I think that it gives more variety, and there's also bigger range of mastery points to spend and so on. So there's more min-maxing with positioning and so on. And I think I like this better on the gameplay side. Encounter cost adjustment and scan cost adjustment. Encounters are only 300 points to enter, and then scanning is only 10 points. So we can fight like way more of these encounters and scan way more. Some changes to fusion and crafting. I think this is like relatively irrelevant because it's testnet ETH, and yeah, money is just free anyways. Bonding curve fix, so now we don't need master shards on everything anymore. You can, I've mainly been using epic shards even. I think it's kind of rare that I'm using resplendent shards, but yeah, I'm mainly using epic shards and then some resplendent shards, and so far I haven't found anything rare enough to warrant the master shard on it even. And yeah, that comes though with me having drone chip upgrades. I have capture power upgrades. If you don't have that yet, maybe you do have to use the higher shards. I think I have previous videos talking about the drone upgrades, and yeah, capture power really good at this stage, especially now with the changes here. Capture power drone chips will save you a lot of time because you are not going to spam master shards on every Illuvium anymore. Some spawn rate changes, fusion crafting costs, and master shard use. Okay, sure. Now some other announcements, and this is the like really relevant one. That is the main game changer, right? So Holo and Dark Holo Illuvials. Rangers, we want to celebrate the introduction of Holo Dark Holo Illuvials. You can now earn airdrop points based on the different stages and tiers of Holo and Dark Holo Illuvials you capture and or own. So you can still buy them off the marketplace, trade them with your friends, and you can get them via fusing. Via fusing, that is the interesting thing. We're going to talk a bit more about the different strategy change in essentially the airdrop department, right? Because fusing, that's like the main change, and there's like some cool stuff you can think about here. But yeah, Holo Illuvial airdrop, right? Tier 0 stage 1 Holo is like 20 points, okay, whatever. Tier 5 stage 3 Holos, 100,000 points. It's a crazy number, really rare and difficult to get. 100,000, crazy number. On the tier 5 S3 Dark Holo, literally 1 million points. It's even crazier number, right? It's 10 times higher than this, 1 million points. If somebody's gonna be lucky enough and get this, which I don't know, I don't even know if somebody has one already. They're super rare. All right, outside of that though, the interesting thing on these numbers is a stage 1 Holo is 4,000 points on like tier 5. And then the next stage is 5x. And that theme is everywhere. It's always 5x, and the next stage is 5x again. Now that is really relevant, because if you go into the game, you can see you can fuse Illuvials. And if I have, for example, this, I have a Holo Mamu here. So, well, I don't have the experience requirement yet, but I could fuse including 1 Holo Illuvial. Now, per Holo Illuvial that you use for fusing, you have a like 1 in 3 chance that the next stage is also gonna be a Holo Illuvial, which is kind of crazy, right? Because if we jump back to the list of the points, we see that there's a 5x. So if I make my Mamu right now is worth 600 points, and I can take a 33% chance to like invest my 600, right? 600 are gone, and 33% chance I get 3,000. So my expected outcome is 1,000 on average, right? A 33% chance for 3,000. Therefore, it gives me more airdrop points to fuse my one holo Mamu with two non-holos, trying a 33% chance to get a holo stage 2. Now, I think this makes sense because you need to invest time to farm the experience to make this move, right? It's not just a, I don't know, you catch this and you wage 33% bam, another 33% bam. No, you have to invest some time into leveling them up, right? Now, if you want to jump back to the fusion screen, and if you guys haven't checked out the previous video that I talked about how to get a lot of stage 5, a lot of tier 3 stage 5 Illuvials, that was one of the recent videos. It has a lot of this fusing, farming XP and so on to do as well. If you guys want to know further things on that, go check out that video. But we'll continue about this here as well. So we're back in the game, right? Now trying to get the stage 2. Again, I mentioned previous video, 4,000 XP. Now, if I, for example, want to click on a null, which is a stage 3 Illuvial, it's 57,000 experience needed. And this is the same for all of these, right? I can check the RAM file, it's also 57,000 experience needed. So getting a stage 2, like the Matu here, right? 4,000 experience, super easy to get, honestly. 4,000 experience, if you can just play 3 of them in your team, right? Or you can even play more if you want to make more of these in your team. This can be, I don't know, it can literally be one single overworld run in that you do a lot of fights using all 3 of these Illuvials, for example. Which is very doable right now because of a different thing that got changed in the game that I'll get into a second, right? But basically the big takeaway here, that's the first big takeaway, fusing one single Holo Illuvial is beneficial. It's just like a net on average win, but you have to gamble a bit, right? Like if you're super unlucky, then yeah, you can lose out. I don't think that should scare you. Maybe it should scare you if you have like a super rare dark holo Illuvial and you're like, man, I don't know, I have a lot of airdrop points here. On average, it is correct to go for the fuse thing, but I can also be unlucky and lose it all, right? It's up to you to figure that out if that risk is worth it for you, but mathematically speaking, obviously it is a good one to take. It is on average a positive outcome to take on airdrop point side if you go for the fuse thing, but you need to have the experience required. Now, farming the experience for stage 2s, super easy. And it is even easier than it was previously, because now you can see my phosphorus here is a level 40 phosphorus. I got this via fusing. Took me a long time, but it is really strong. Now, this is the random stat distribution it has. It's not super good, not super bad. And you can see these are the stats. But these are the stats for a level 1 phosphorus, not a level 40 phosphorus. And a lot of you guys might have noticed that combats in the overworld feel a lot easier now. They do feel easier because the enemy team Illuvials are pretty low level. And if you have these super fused Illuvials, or you have teams that you've played a lot of fights with, then you guys just have high levels, and those levels have increased the stats. So your Illuvials are just way stronger than the average Illuvial that you fight in the overworld, right? So we can just jump into a fight here. Get one guy really quick. Right, use the Mozart, use the weapon. Bam. And we just jump in to check the stats that the Phosphorus has, right? So remember, it had like 2,500 HP, 110-ish of mega power, a little over 100 attack damage, something like that. Now we are in this combat. Oh, you can see the base stats here, extra, right? Like the full base stats without the stat boost and without levels. 2,261 HP, 100 omega power, 108 attack damage, 100 attack speed. 3,690 HP, that's more than 50% more HP. It's like 70% more mega power, 70% more attack damage. This unit is like 70% stronger than without levels and without the random stats. So that is why fights are a lot easier, and if you have like 1, 2 or 3 of these kind of Illuvials, you can just level whatever else in the team. Like these Illuvials will just super hard carry you, still check the enemy encounter mods. Maybe the enemy encounter mods have something really crazy. Maybe the enemy team has some really good... Oh, this is a Holo Volante. Damn, that's This is like a cool thing. I can just like press start here. That's a nice side thing for the video, capturing the Holo Illuvial talking about hunting Holo Illuvials. Alright, yeah, outside of that though, these super stacked high level Illuvial, high stat roll Illuvials can just carry your team, and it's really easy to level more of these small Illuvials than previously. And that is what you want to do. Before, we only cared about leveling tier 5 Illuvials, right? Because tier 5 stage 3 Illuvials were the big airdrop point earners for us. Now Holo and Dark Holo Illuvials are crazy good airdrop point earners. Therefore, we probably just want to level like a bunch of different Illuvials to this 4,000 experience mark. So that's around level 20, if I believe correctly. And you want to have, like, you can just like set up a lot of those previously. Right, you can just have the Holo Illuvials and then you farm until you can make the stage 2 of the Holo Illuvial perfect. Or you can also, if you don't have any Holo Illuvials right now and you don't have something specific to farm for, you can just have random Illuvials in your team and just get them to this level 20 breakpoint, and once you find a Holo, then you can utilize that. So that is the major change and the major thing on the leveling side and also on the fusion side, right? Because before we were essentially trying to min-max for getting a bunch of tier 5 stage 3 Illuvials. Now we don't even have to focus on the tier 5 stage 3 Illuvials, and I'm going to make a different video, I believe, on a lot of different team setups where it's like, yeah, this team setup is really good for leveling these kind of Illuvials and things like that. So yeah, I'm thinking of making that. If you guys want to see that video, let me know for sure. But outside of that, again, the big takeaways, we want to farm Holo Illuvials for the airdrop things, which also means, I should have stayed in the region there, you just want to check the entire region very much because you want to just see the Holo Illuvials. And there's one last super important thing that is also mentioned in the announcement thing, so let's check that real quick. So some of the Illuvials Holo things on the cards that you see in the game, they are essentially not finished, right? So 49 Illuvials still like Holo Dark Holo images and will appear as non-Holo in the UI. That means if you see them and this like the Illuvial is a Holo Illuvial if you fight them, so you have to visually look, is this a Holo Illuvial or not, if you see any of these, because the card that you see while like hunting them, right, like just the UI thing on the top, that picture doesn't have the Holo thing in it yet, right? So that's like these Illuvials. 49 sounds like a lot, but that's because it's like all Dokas and stuff like that. So it's, yeah, like you're not going to be hunting Dokas anyways, realistically, right? So yeah, you have to look out for these. I think it's worth to try and remember these. If not, Aaron also here mentioned, I always struggle a lot with like Sea Scorpion line. But Sea Scorpion, like, okay, yeah, I know what like Sea Scorpion is, but then there's something like Star-Nosed Mole of Tenrek, I don't know. So Aaron also mentioned the names, how they are in the game. So I think the really important one to look out for is Ramphie. So if you see a Ramphie, always, like, I mean, you're going to capture Ramphie anyways, right? So maybe Ramphie isn't that important, but yeah, definitely check if it's Holo or Dark Holo. And yeah, outside of that, it's a lot of the tier 1s, like the Rayleighs, Tetopi, and so on. Rota, Archie, Cara Blue. Yeah, just keep an eye out on these. Especially remember the higher tier ones though. So if you see Fern, you see, where was it? You see Fiery, the tier 4 ones. Definitely check if check visually if they are a Holo or not, so you don't miss out. I guess there's one other thing that's worth mentioning, worth reminding you guys about, because we're talking so much about leveling Illuvials, right? There is a, oh, I'm out of them. There's a flint cap, a food, a consumable, and that gives you Illuvial more experience. Especially now, because we oftentimes will go for the setup that I mentioned earlier, where you have one level 40 or maybe multiple level 40 Illuvials that just have these super cracked stats and they're just gonna hard carry your team. It is pretty easy to just use the experience buff food, experience buff consumables on the Illuvials that you want to level. And again, pay attention that you don't over level them, because you only need 4000 XP. 4000 XP to get something like this, that is really easily reached in one run sometimes if you fight a lot on stage 3 runs. So try to not overcap the XP, because reaching the 57,000 mark, I think it's just so tough. I don't really think it's like worth it unless you just want to have the Holo like stage 3 Illuvial for fun, basically. If you don't want to have that, just try to make a bunch of stage 2 Holo Illuvials. I think trying to get as many stage 2 Holo Illuvials on preferably high tier Illuvials, that is like the new airdrop farm strategy. And yeah, I think on the holos it's probably common enough that you should just like don't really worry about it and take the like risk in like air quotes, right? Because on average it's a good outcome, but again you can also just lose the holo and it's gone, or you get a stage 2 holo. I think on the dark holo, because way more points are on the line, depends on what kind of person you are. I'm just always gonna take the risk, right? But it's kind of this question, right? Somebody asks you, do you wanna, I don't know, take $1,000 or flip a coin for 10,000? I would flip the coin for 10,000, but the higher you play that example, if it's like, do you want to have 100,000 or flip a coin for 1,000,000? I'm like, oh, I don't know if I take the 50-50 or just take the 100k. You play this higher, like 10 million versus 100 million, I take the 10 mil, right? 100%. So that's always the thing that you have to figure out for yourself. At what point you care how much about the guaranteed or the thing where you can just lose as well, right? But on average it's better. So yeah, I think that's the update I wanted to give. That's what I wanted to talk about in the video. That's a big change, I guess, in like a player behavior kind of thing. I have a list of videos I wanted to do in the future. Let me know if these are good ideas, right? So I want to like a new gameplay video, because the last one is a bit outdated-ish because of the patch and the recent changes and so on. So I'll probably do a new gameplay video for sure. Then I was thinking a video just explaining all the assets in the Illuvium ecosystem, because there are so many, and we are just playing Overworld right now, but there's also Illuvium Land, there's Illuvium Beyond, there's different stuff in the Overworld, right? And I don't know, it's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of different games, a bunch of assets. I was thinking of an explain video on those. I was thinking of a really long form guide on consumables, maybe even picking like, okay, this consumable is really good for this like specifically, instead of just like giving some really broad overview like I've done in the past. I was thinking of specific teams, like a core 2, 3, 4 Illuvial setup, plus then you just fill with Illuvials to level, and have like a couple different core setups plus specific ones that you fill them in. Like this is a really good core setup for leveling Psion Illuvials. This is a good core setup for leveling Earth Illuvials, something like that. And yeah, I was thinking of like a arena basics video. I've done a lot of like arena content in the past, right? Especially before testnet was a thing and arena was the main thing. So I was thinking just like a new updated, just arena basics kind of guide, especially for everybody that just joined the game playing Overworld right now. I don't know, that's like a really big question. Like, do you guys want to see that or not? And yeah, I think that's like the main videos I wanted to do. I was also thinking just like an overall feedback video, like what's my takes on Overworld? How do I like this whole thing? Maybe even my takes on like the airdrop campaign, stuff like that. So those are the ideas I have. Let me know if you guys think, if you guys want to know when you see any of those videos. Just let me know. Appreciate everybody watching and hanging out. I hope this video was like a short overview on what's changed and was like helpful. Maybe some things that you didn't notice, some things that you didn't think about or forgot beforehand. Always hope that I can be helpful to you guys, and see you in the next one.